Welcome to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Today we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders just like you. Let's begin with what's making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page. Our top story comes from Jenna Prestazinski at the Detroit Free Press. On Saturday night, Auburn Hills police rushed to the Great Lakes Crossing outlets after calls of alleged shots fired at one of Southeast Michigan's largest shopping malls and activity centers. As the situation unfolded, reporters say mall goers fled the building and local law enforcement received several 911 calls, as social media also became abuzz with reports of an active shooter. In addition, the mall sent out messages to employees and customers to evacuate the mall or shelter in place during the incident. There was no active shooter, in fact, at the mall. According to this report from the Detroit Free Press, police were responding to an incident of a fight at the food court just prior to 6:30 p.m. on Saturday, when an officer had deployed their taser on someone while intervening in this fight. An unknown person in the local area there in the mall shouted "shots fired," sparking the panic. This led to a call for backup from Auburn Hills Police as well as other departments nearby, as fleeing crowds became too much for police to handle and control. And due diligence, of course, was in order to ensure that there was, in fact, not an active shooter situation or people injured or in need of assistance. Police did search the mall and found no evidence of shots fired as well as no one injured in the false alarm. However, those who were in the process of being apprehended during the fight in the food court did flee the scene, and local police are asking for the public's help in gathering more information on the fight and getting in contact with the individuals who were involved. Also making headlines today from Matthew Farr at the Oakland Press. 5 schools right here in Oakland County have greenlit a new advanced college-level course in African American Studies to be added to the docket of classes in the coming years. Per the Michigan Department of Education, if we can scroll down too on this, those local schools include Birmingham Groves, Ferndale, West Bloomfield schools, as well as the Center for Advanced Studies and Arts, and Southfield University Academy. This new coursework is part of a pilot program being spearheaded by College Board, which does a lot of the advanced placement classes here in Michigan, especially in our local area, and conducts them across the union as well. This new course began to be processed last year and has gone through a rigorous conception with inputs from hundreds of professors from over 200 colleges, including historically black colleges and universities, or HBCUs. Already, this new course is receiving high praise from some of America's top academics, including Henry Louis Gates Jr. from Harvard, who referred to the new course as a, quote, affirmation of the importance of African American studies, end closed quote. Of course, with a new course of this curriculum comes a rash of criticism, with opposers claiming that this is another form of academic indoctrination. Those detractors include potential presidential candidate and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, a Republican who visited Michigan last week with a speech where he called out the so-called woke teaching and curriculum of places such as Michigan in a speech, and said that his state, Florida, is where, quote, woke goes to die, end closed quote. In a statement, College Board provided counterpoint to these sorts of opinions, stating, quote, the course provides students with a strong foundation of facts and evidence about African American history and culture. We hope that AP African American Studies will serve as an invitation to many students who have not traditionally considered advanced placement, end closed quote. Whether or not you will be engaged in these sort of classes, or your kids will be engaged in these sorts of classes, it is important to teach about the history of a number of different cultures here in the U.S. because it provides even greater context to American history. So whether you're teaching AP United States history or AP U.S. history, commonly known as APUSH, or you're teaching AP World History or so on and so forth, teaching about some of those subcategories of different populations, especially in American history, given that so much of American history is surrounded by referring to this place as a great melting pot of cultures, or a place where people can come to build a new life and fulfill that American dream, pursue that so-called American dream. You think about the Statue of Liberty, your huddled masses. That is an important context to explore, which is why courses like this are so important for classes across our local area to have available to them. Now, The counterpoint that comes from those in opposition of these kinds of classes are usually claims that they are inaccurate or that they are providing certain ideology to come along with the facts that are being presented, and sometimes even referring to those as alleged facts when they are well backed up in history and in literature from throughout American history. Look, it's important that when we're teaching history, we teach that history with accuracy, and that we update those teachings when we learn of inaccuracies or we have updated information from primary or secondary sources or other evidence that comes about throughout the years. That's how we learn about history, and that's how we also add to the history of our local area, of our state, of our country, and of the world. But perhaps when we speak of ensuring accuracy, we should also look at the history of calling teachings of oppressed groups such as African Americans, who have been historically oppressed in our country, calling those teachings inaccurate, and why that is dangerous. But rhetoric has been surrounding teaching of different cultures and calling that teaching inaccurate in the past. It has been something that's used in the past to further oppress these groups. That's part of what they're going to be teaching here. Look, whether or not you are going to engage in these classes or your kids are going to engage in these classes, providing more looks into different cultures in our local area can only be beneficial to our communities, especially when we have so many diverse populations right here in southeastern Michigan. All the more reason it should be at least perceived as some good news here in our local area at Birmingham Groves, Ferndale, West Bloomfield schools, as well as others such as the Center for Advanced Studies and the Arts and Southfield University Prep, Southfield University Academy are going to be holding these classes. It's even more opportunities for kids in our local area also to get college level coursework done while they're in high school, get some of those credits out of the way and save them some money when they go into higher education, or if they're just looking for a nice challenge in their academics as they're getting closer to the end of their high school careers. Those headlines are all making news today on our local news page on civiccentertv.com. We'll get back to more of these stories in just a little bit, but we do have a lot of action happening on today's edition of the Megacast. Coming up next, we'll be joined by a couple of individuals from the Farmington Players to talk about one of their upcoming productions. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss that. It's coming up next on the Megacast.
My Michigan TV is streaming everywhere. TV, Roku, Fire TV, and more smart TV apps. My Michigan TV is on your phone, too. Take us with you wherever you go. Just search for My Michigan TV on your favorite app store or visit mymitv.com. All Michigan, streaming everywhere. My Michigan TV.
Hello, nose. My nose knows is when somebody uses the bathroom. Mom, all we need is flush. Ooh, I smell cookies.
I smell an A+.
How could my nose be running when it stays on my face?
Our noses know if those sniffles are just a cold, allergies, or COVID-19. So swab it. Test it. It's good to know.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
There are many different kinds of noses. Our noses can sniff out all kinds of things. Good things and bad things. Your nose knows if those sniffles are just a cold, allergies, or COVID-19. So swab it. Test it. It's good to know.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick.
The virus will die.
It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine.
To keep safe and strong.
Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
I'm Steve Eiserman of the Detroit Red Wings, and I think every child in Michigan deserves a safe, healthy, and happy childhood. Can we build a state where Children Trust Michigan isn't just a name, but something our kids believe? Please support Children Trust Michigan as the voice for children and families by visiting the website to learn more.
Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. You can always find more information on our program, including all of our full shows and each individual interview segment on demand, and learn more about all of our partnering stations throughout the state of Michigan by visiting our website on civiccentertv.com/megacast. Joining us now from the Farmington Players are Tim Timmer and Chris Martin, who are both heavily involved in their upcoming production of A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. Thank you both for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, glad to have both of you gentlemen on today. Tim, let's start with you. You're the director of A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. This is a recent Tony Award-winning production that's now going to be at the Farmington Players. Tell us about this play and why people should be excited to come see this in the near future at the Farmington Players.
Well, it's nonstop musical. It just flows. The only stop is basically intermission and the end of the show. We've got a very talented cast. We have 14 on stage. We've got probably 18 people backstage, keeping them going. It's a lot of fun. The music, the dancing, all the scenes are great. We're bringing in furniture left and right, fast scene changes. It's a nonstop, just really amazing musical. I think everyone will enjoy.
And then Chris, you're also with us. Chris Martin is acting in this play. Tell us about your character and a little bit about your performance in this upcoming production.
Well, it's more characters. I'm playing 9 members of this family called the Dicewith family, who all, I don't know how much you want me to give away, Tim, but the title.
All right, you go ahead.
You all get bumped off in various comic ways. And then I'm playing everything from an old man to a dowager to a little Cockney janitor. And it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. What I'm having to do in terms of just, completely different characters, completely different costumes. Like Tim said, everything's changing really fast. It's a workout.
Yeah, and it's an exciting play, and it's a fairly recent play too. So it's got that kind of modern edge to it, even though it's set in the 20th century and in the early parts of the 20th century. You can learn more information about this upcoming production from the Farmington Players. That begins Friday, April 28th at 8 p.m. by visiting their website, farmingtonplayers.org, or calling them at 248-553-2955. That's their box office, 248-553-2955. for more information. And Tim, this is a play that's got a lot of intrigue because it's got drama to it. It's kind of got a little bit of mystery to it also. So what makes this really interesting, particularly for the stage, as it's going to be performed locally in a more intimate environment like the Farmington Players?
Well, we built a stage on our stage, so to make it nonstop. And as Chris said, not trying to give too much away, but basically a young man who's down on his luck, he finds out that he's part of a rich heritage, and the only way to get to the top is maybe knock out some of the characters and all the family. So the stage on top of the stage was what they did in Broadway to allow the action and all the scene changes. So the transitions will be in front, downstage, and then the scene change will happen with furniture moving. It'll go to place to place. We're also using projections, and the projections are our backdrops. We're using up to 18 different projections. There's probably about 25, 26 different scenes. But again, it's nonstop and it's a lot of fun. And the mystery is who's next, or how is this young man going to be able to take care of what he needs to do, which is get to the top. And so it's a lot of fun, The audience is going to love it. I guarantee the audience is going to have a great time with this.
Tim Timmer is the director of A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, coming up at the end of the month of April at the Farmington Players. Also joining us today is Chris Martin, one of the actors in this production from the Farmington Players. And as you mentioned, Chris, you're playing a multitude of different characters in this play. It is a complicated story, and especially in a more intimate environment with the resources of the Farmington Players versus its origins on Broadway. So for you as an actor, does that present challenges? And if so, how are those interesting to you as someone that loves to be on the stage and is going to put on such a great production like this?
Well, I've done everything I'm doing in this play. I've done, like, I've sung in plays, I've acted, I've done, a little bit of choreography, but it's having to do all of this at once. This is the first time for me. So it's a very unique challenge. And it's mind boggling, everything that has to go on. But the thing is, there's a really great support staff with this show. Everybody who's involved, from the directors to the costume people, everything, they've been doing this for years. They know what they're doing. It's like, so all I have to really worry about is what I'm doing, my acting and everything like that. And everyone else is taking care of everything. And the way that this has come together, we've kind of done it in bits. We start out with a read through, and then, okay, now we're doing the singing, and okay, now we're doing the dancing. Now we're putting the dancing and the singing together. Now we're doing this. So it's kind of like, it's not like having a drink from the fire hose, we've worked our way up to it, but it's definitely light years beyond anything I've ever had to do before. But it's great. I mean, if I think about it too much, I'll run off screaming into the night. So I try not to.
And so, Tim, to go back to you as a director of this play, given that it's got fairly recent notoriety, it was a Tony Award winner in 2014, and now it's going into obviously a much smaller environment than it would be on a Broadway stage. How does that present challenges for you as a director, and what have you done, has your crew done then to overcome that and present this in that more intimate environment in a way that's still going to be really interesting for local viewers?
Well, it's all about logistics, all the different furniture involved. It's hard to explain everything we have, from a swing to a door system. We're flying in a 2-door system that when the curtain goes up, you'll notice there's 2 doors, and then all of a sudden it's gone. We have people backstage moving all the time. As Chris mentioned, he's changing characters. So there's one scene where he changes characters 5 times, and it's nonstop. And some of these scene changes are 20, 30 seconds long. So we have someone right there with him, constantly just making sure he goes off stage, he puts another costume on, but he comes running back. So the support system has to be on their toes. And that's what we're going to be working with these next couple of weeks, make sure everything's ready to go. These actors have been working very hard since January, and I'm very proud of every one of them. And it's going to be a really, really good show.
Yes, several months worth of work has gone into this production. It begins April 28th at 8 p.m. That's their opening show at the Farmington Players, and it will run through late May, the final show being Saturday, May 20th at 8 p.m. You can learn more information by visiting their website. You can see it on your screen if you're visiting us on our cable TV channels or on the web today at farmingtonplayers.org, or call them 248-553-2955. That's their box office number, 248-553-2955, or send them an email, boxoffice@farmingtonplayers.org. Of course, the Farmington Players located in Farmington Hills, just off of 12 Mile Road. So you can get yourself all planned out, get some time put aside, purchase those tickets, and be excited to go visit the Farmington Players for the production of A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. Joining us from that production today are Chris Martin, an actor in the play, as well as their director, Tim Timmer, on today's edition of the Megacast. Chris, to go back to you, those sort of quick scene changes that Tim was talking about, especially that one scene where you're switching characters 5 times. For you as an actor, for actors that are playing one character, it's tough enough to engage in becoming that character and focusing on being that character in that moment. When you're playing so many characters, how does that kind of change the game for you as an actor?
Again, I think for me, it's just a matter of focusing on that one character in that moment, and trying to get the, it's all about kind of rehearsal on my own and just getting to the point where I can just, switch, change my brain, you know what I mean? And as growing up as a kid, I used to love to watch Looney Tunes cartoons, and my hero was Mel Blanc, the guy who did all the voices, and I would do all of those voices all the time and stuff like that. So it's just kind of a thing that I kind of comes naturally for me. So it's that has not been the difficult thing for me. I've been able to kind of make those switches really easily. It's basically it's just that I have 2 left feet. Trying to do the choreography that's been tough. But I don't know. It's kind of like for me, it's all about homework. It's like I go, at home, I run these things over and over and over again in my head, the voices and the lines. So that's just complete muscle memory. And I just go into automatic pilot, basically. Where I get tripped up is if I start thinking too much.
More information on A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder and that production at the Farmington Players can be found on their website, farmingtonplayers.org. Tim Timmer also joins us on the program today, the director of this production through the Farmington Players. And there's so many great local theaters in southeastern Michigan, especially right here in Oakland County. And when you're going to see a production like this, when you're seeing a Tony Award-winning play like A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, what about that experience in a community theater makes it different and makes it interesting for audiences, and why should they be excited to come see a play like this from a local theater company like Farmington Players?
Well, the key word you used is community. Nobody gets paid here. Nobody does this for a living. We do this because we have the passion, and to spend all this time and effort and energy to put on a production like this is very rewarding. We have a wonderful cast that puts on the final product. But again, there's 40 people, 50 people in the membership that are doing everything they can to get these actors ready to go and on stage and just to be proud. So it's all about presenting it in our community and bringing the Broadway version as best as we can to this small venue. It's a wonderful building, the barn, and I wouldn't really want to do a show anywhere else. We've got a lot of top-notch technical, from LED lighting and all the rigging, and we bring it right here to the local area. So it's a lot of fun.
And then, Chris, let's bring that over to you also. Speak about that angle from your side as an actor to be able to participate in a play like this in a local community like Farmington and Farmington Hills, and be able to continue to hone your craft and engage in something that you're passionate about in an intimate environment like the Farmington Players.
Well, I've only been doing theater for about 5 years, and I have just fallen completely in love with it. I would rather see a, local, there's something with the live aspect of theater, for one thing, that's so immediate. It's so, there's just moments that happen that you can't get watching a movie or TV or something like that. And I love, like Tim said, just you're watching these people who are just normal people, like just, people who would have normal jobs and do their thing. And then just because they love this much, they do this, they put a show on, they put, and they, it's you help but be drawn into that, and it's just this, and it's it's the, I think it's the passion of it. I think it's just the dang, let's go to the barn and put on a show kind of thing. I love that. There's nothing else like it for me. I'm completely like My first show I ever did was like Shakespeare in the Park kind of thing. I had 4 lines and I was just hooked. And it's been just, just a joy too. And I think when you go to a good show, the joy comes across, the joy of the people that are doing it and everything in a way that you don't get from other mediums. So that's kind of my cornball way of looking at it.
You can always find more information and ways you can participate in the Farmington Players by visiting at farmingtonplayers.org. The season finale for 2022 and 2023 is begins on April 28th at 8 p.m. at the Farmington Players. You can purchase tickets now and find more information by visiting farmingtonplayers.org or calling their box office 248-553-2955 for info and to purchase tickets. Tim, Chris, thank you both for being with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Appreciate having both of you on. Again, the box office number 248-553-2955 or visit farmingtonplayers.org. A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder premieres in Farmington Hills on April 28th, 8 p.m. We'll take a break on the Megacast. On the other side, plenty more making headlines in Oakland County and throughout the state of Michigan. We'll explore that. And then afterward, one local organization is helping to resolve some of the shelter issues and the housing issues right here in Oakland County. Stay tuned. A lot coming up next on the Megacast.
Like what you see? Beautiful works of art, masterworks of metal, and accomplishment artistry will be on display near you. All kinds of artists from walks of life come together to celebrate their skill and appreciate their work's beauty. Hot Work presents the 23 Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. Stop by July 29th and 30th between 2 and 10 p.m. hours and daily off of Orchard Lake.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential to get back to protect your families and to protect those in the community.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important.
And now the same is true in the face of flu.
Influenza has the power to infect millions.
But it's easy to protect yourself, your family, and your community.
The flu vaccine is ineffective. And with COVID-19 still around, it's a struggle. Together we can head on.
Visit michigan.gov/flu.
To your mind. Give yourself permission to breathe. Share your feelings. Talk to a Stay Well counselor for free confidential help 24/7 through the COVID-19.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. You can always keep up to date with us and our partnering stations and their original programming every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Click on any of the links to any of our partnering stations that are listed there, and you'll find all of their original programming and ways to watch live online as well, whether it's in Northern Oakland County, places like Orion Neighborhood Television, here right in our local area, in the Birmingham Bloomfield area, like Birmingham Area Municipal Access, or even in the Lakes area, like the network. Just click on those links and it goes directly to their websites. You don't have to memorize their website names. It's all right there on civiccentertv.com/Megacast. You can even find statewide programming from our co-flagship station, My Michigan TV, as well as information on their free smartphone and smart TV apps as well on our Megacast page. In addition, all of our full shows and each individual segment are also on demand, usually posted by about 1 o'clock in the afternoon on each of our show days. And of course, you can always join us live for the Megacast Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. as part of Civic Center TV's 90 minutes of news and talk every single morning during your work week. Whether you're live for the full show or live to tape and on demand throughout the afternoons, evenings, and weekends, we always appreciate you joining us here on the Megacast. Well, today still plenty more making headlines beyond what we went over at the beginning of the program. Let's continue on our local news page, a great place for you to go throughout the week to get bits from Oakland and across the state of Michigan, those most important stories that you're going to want to keep up to date with each and every day. So you're not so inundated with news in every corner of your life. You just go to our local news page. Those are those most important 3 to 5 stories each and every day. Also making headlines today on our local news page from MLive's Justine Lofton. As the weather warms and we get back into the great outdoors, the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, or the DNR, is reminding us that foliage like leaves and downed kindling and branches from trees, maybe as those local storms and wind events, is likely going to get very, very dry and quite quickly as well, especially as we're expecting temperatures in the high 70s even just this week. So be aware of that. That makes Michigan's natural areas and campgrounds and even your own yards at greater risk of exposure to dangerous wildfires, especially in more rural areas and suburban areas with nearby wildlife. I'm looking at you, northern Oakland County. Some residents may turn where legal to open burning as a solution for disposing of some of those leaves and branches and other outdoor foliage. DNR wants to ensure that you do so safely, especially given that most wildfires today are in fact started by humans. Just as Smokey the Bear said, only you can prevent forest fires. That also includes just general wildfires in your local area as well. So here are some of the tips the DNR gave MLive to think about before you're going through with a open burn in your county or anywhere else in the state of Michigan that you may be open burning, or a friend of yours or family member of yours may consider open burning to begin the season, get rid of some of that stuff on your lawns and in your local area and at campsites. 1, make sure it is legal to do so. Some communities, open burning is perfectly fine with some regulations in place. Some communities have certain restrictions on what can and cannot be burned. And then in other communities, like right here in the greater West Bloomfield community, that means West Bloomfield Township and the Tri-Cities of Eagle Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and Orchard Lake Village, open burning is banned. It is not allowed. It is against the local law in these areas. So whether you have open backyard space and a fire pit, you're not supposed to be burning at all in these communities. You can get fined and face some backlash from the local community as a result of these open burns. And the DNR doesn't want that either. If it's not legal in the community that you're in or the community that you're living in, wherever you are, if it's not legal to open burn, don't open burn. That's the top rule there from the DNR. Also, they suggest you're able to legally burn in your area or in your yard. Have a water source handy in order to help you extinguish the fire in case things go amok and some of those embers fly outside of the fire and that you're keeping it in and you want to put that fire out. It's also helpful if you burn to extinguish the fire and extinguish embers as well. It's never a bad idea also to have a fire extinguisher there in case that water is not going to be enough to put that fire out in succession. In addition, keep a shovel nearby. Now, this is going to come in handy on in this list, but shovel can be very handy when you're tending to a fire, especially in a fire pit, and particularly putting that fire out. Number 4, don't leave your fire unattended. As long as you are there, you should be able to control that fire, or somebody should be able to control that fire who's administering. You are the difference maker between that fire behaving however it wants to and behaving as you direct it to and as you're manipulating it to do. So you determine how much wood goes into the fire, how hot that burns. Whereas if you walk away, the wind may blow in a certain direction. That fire might escape that fire pit and start to burn outside of that area. And then it could be by the time you get back to that fire, it may not matter whether you have a fire extinguisher, a bucket of water, a shovel, and other materials that can help you put out fire. It might be too late, and that's all it takes to turn a small open burn of some leaves and some burn house down, cause a wildfire someone to a big kerfuffle that you just don't need in your life of all the other stressors. And number 5, finally, their last piece of advice: when you do fire out, make sure that you also are extinguishing the embers. That is what ties back to step number 3, which is suggesting that you have a shovel nearby. Those embers, even when you pour water over the entire base of that fire, some of those embers aren't going to go out, and they can continue to burn, and they can continue to burn quite hot for a long time. Those embers and those coals at the bottom that continue to burn can also reignite that fire later on, especially if it's warm and it's sunny and it's dry outside, and that extra wood and shrubbery and all that other stuff that was in there, it's not entirely burned and it dries up and those embers continue to burn. That can start a fire anew, and then you're violating that one part of those steps as well. Step number 4, I believe, that said don't leave your fire unattended. So you take the shovel, you dig up those embers, you flip them onto each other. It puts pressure on the burning embers. It chokes the fire out and suffocates it so that it doesn't continue to burn. You can also flip those over as you dig with the shovel, pour more water on top of it, get that layered water in there so it continues to work to dampen those embers and dampen whatever remaining kindling or sticks or other shrubbery might be in that open. A really good step to have. That's why that shovel can be really important. You wouldn't think a shovel is going to be a helpful thing when you're doing an open burn, but it really is. Says Paul Rogers of the DNR, quote, 9 out of 10 wildfires in Michigan are caused by people, but following a few simple fire safety tips can reduce the risk for everyone, end closed quote. Finally, making headlines today on our local news page from Corey Woods, also with MLive. After 5 seasons at the helm, Detroit Pistons head coach Dwayne Casey announced after their final game of the season against the Chicago Bulls that he is stepping down as head coach of the Detroit Pistons and will instead move into a role in the front office. This is no surprise following last ball game when Coach Dwayne Casey was late to his post-game press conference by almost an hour, about 40 minutes. We're having a discussion with the team's owner, Tom Gorez, about his future as the Pistons head coach. Casey, who began his tenure with immense promise following leading the Toronto Raptors back into relevance just before their most recent NBA title, opened his run as head coach with the Pistons in a 4-1 season that ended in a first-round loss, being swept by Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. From there, Casey went on to hold a 121 and 263 record while at the top of the bench for the men in red, white, and blue. But injuries, aging veterans, and a youth movement that never seemed to grow into a form led to a tenure of consistent inconsistency as the team struggled to take that next step in its attempt to return to the glory days of the going to work and bad boy Pistons. This is the perfect time for the change, both for Coach Casey and for the Pistons. You think about the season that they had, it was at times promising, particularly with the development of young talent like Jalen Duren and certainly Jaden Ivey, their top 5 pick from last year's NBA draft, who had a stellar end of the season, put up the most points by a Pistons rookie since Grant Hill in the mid-90s, and has a ton of promise behind him as he switched from being a shooting guard in college to being a point guard this year. With Ivy, with Duren, with some of the other young talent on this team, a top 5 pick certainly coming in, potentially a game-changing talent if the Pistons are to get the number 1 overall pick and presumably select Victor Wembanyama out of France. That could be a huge game changer for the Pistons, as it expects a generational talent like none other. Over 7 feet, athletic, can shoot the ball, great ball handle, excellent from all counts. This is to be, he's been touted as arguably the best prospect in the NBA draft since LeBron James, and that's really saying something. That's high praise for the Frenchman, who could be coming to Detroit very soon. With all that, plus a ton of cap space to use in agents coaching in Detroit, there's tons of promise right here in the D, head coach. Among some of the candidates already being rumored are former Boston Celtics head coach Ime Udoka, as well as NBA assistants Charles Lee from the Milwaukee Bucks, as well as defensive guru and former Pistons assistant coach Sean Sweeney, who recently changed kids staff with the Dallas Mavericks. In addition, there are other potential candidates out on the market the Pistons could explore, including potentially legendary Pistons guard Chauncey Billups, should he be let go from his current coaching position at the helm of the Portland Trail Blazers, Nick Nurse, who currently coaches the Toronto Raptors and previously took over in Canada for Dwayne Casey, as well as former Pistons star and Vanderbilt head coach Jerry Stackhouse, among those rumored to potentially be on the short list for the Pistons head coaching position. All these headlines, of course, are making news on our local news page each and every day. Keep up to date with it as we upload every morning before we begin our Megacast show at 10 a.m. We have a great program ahead, continuing after this break. Coming up next, we'll talk to a chapter of Habitat for Humanity. Stay tuned. Got a great interview coming up next on the Megacast.
Ronnie started doing prescription pills at the age of 15, and by 19, he died. If your child is struggling with drug use, try not to be too proud to reach out for help. Don't be worried about what the neighbor will think or your family. Just get your child the help they need. Sometimes it's the hard road to take, but the hard road is nothing compared to living with the fact that your child is no longer with you.
There's hope and help at drugfree.org.
Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV. Stop by Bloomfield Town Hall June 14th and get your health in check at the 14th Annual Greater West Bloomfield Health and Wellness Fair. Over 40 businesses, organizations, and vendors take the time to showcase healthy practices, tips, and resources for the community. Young or old, there's something for everyone and everybody. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Wednesday, June 14th, the 14th Annual Greater West Bloomfield Health and Wellness Fair. This community update from Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
When you have a gambling problem, you have a money problem. Don't let your gambling cause you financial hardship. If you or someone you love is struggling with gambling, we can help. Get free confidential counseling and win your life back. Learn more at michigan.gov/problemgambling.
Welcome to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. You can always keep up to date with us on each and every one of our episodes and segments and learn more about all of our partnering stations by visiting civiccentertv.com/Megacast. And of course, join us live every weekday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. across our network. Again, more information always available on civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Joining us now on the program is Christin Schrei from the local Habitat for Humanity of Oakland County, where she serves as their Major Gifts Officer. Christin, thanks for being with us today.
Hi, good morning, Tyler. It's good to be with you.
Yeah, glad to have you on as well. We've heard so much about Habitat for Humanity across the U.S. It's a renowned organization that also has a chapter right here in Oakland County. So tell us about the Oakland County chapter and some of the work that you do through this national organization right here in our local community.
Yes, I'm just thrilled to be here with you today to talk about it. As you had mentioned, yes, I'm on the corporate development team, fundraising team for Habitat for Humanity of Oakland County. Habitat, as you mentioned, is an international brand, but there are many affiliates across the state of Michigan. And I'm proud to work at Habitat Oakland. We have been an affiliate since 1995, so we have a very long history within Oakland County, and really to the state, we've served over 1,400 families in Oakland County. So we're thrilled to be here and do that work. And I always like to touch on of providing safe and affordable housing for our neighbors here in Oakland County.
Yeah, and it's something that maybe isn't considered to be necessarily that critical of an issue in Oakland County, because when people think about it, they're not often thinking about people having issues with maintaining their housing. But like any other community in Michigan or across the U.S., this is a major issue that can affect anyone at any time. And it certainly affects people right here in Oakland County. So you spoke about that. About 1,400 families have been impacted here in Oakland County by Habitat for Humanity since they began in our community in the 90s. But just how much of a problem is adequate housing in our local area, and how does Habitat help mitigate some of the issues?
That's a great question, Tyler. You know, as you mentioned, everybody, you know, thinks of Oakland County as a very wealthy county. And in certain areas, it certainly is. But there are some very different pockets within Oakland County that are struggling. Certainly, COVID did not help that situation. Finding affordable housing in Oakland County is pretty much a major, you know, it's an epidemic right now. I think if you've watched any news throughout the past 2 to 3 years, and now with the rising interest rates, that only is housing difficult for low to moderate income families and individuals, but it's what they call now the missing middle. It's even difficult for middle income families to achieve the goal of home ownership. So affordable housing is always the main pillar of our mission, but there are several other programs that we offer at Oakland County that address, you know, critical home repair. We do neighborhood revitalization, and I can touch on those, you know, in more detail too. But certainly COVID has really added a new twist to this idea. And it's more so than ever now, we need affordable housing out there for people.
And that's what's really important to know about Habitat for Humanity and its local chapters, including here in Oakland County. When people think about this organization, it's got such a great reputation, and so often they think about former President Jimmy Carter out there in the communities across the U.S. and especially in the South, building houses. But Habitat does so much more than just build houses for people in need of housing, because housing issues are usually very much multifactorial. They're financial, they're resource driven, they're driven by socioeconomic status as well. And then you even mentioned restoration being a huge part of that. So just how far reaching are these services in the organization?
Yeah, you know, we do, I want to touch on the affordable housing first.
Sure.
We are doing rehabs in the Pontiac area. We are have been piloting a new program in the city of Southfield. We have a very strong relationship with the city of Southfield, and we have built first all electric duplex in the city of Southfield, and we own 6 other lots that we will be building a brand new house on for low to moderate income families. And the idea behind that, Tyler, is that we will be able to serve not only one partner family, but 2 at the same time. So that has been an exciting part of what has been happening over at Oakland, Habitat Oakland. We just had a groundbreaking for our 2nd duplex last Tuesday, and we're excited to get that started. The neighborhood revitalization that I touched is what we call Rock the Block. And the week May 15th through the 19th, we'll be having an official Rock the Block in the city of Pontiac. And we focus on several neighborhoods, and you know, we get corporate funding and individual support. Faith groups come out and support that with funding. And then that's where volunteers really come in and help us with some exterior work on homes through Pontiac. And then we take that program in the fall over to the city of Southfield and do the same thing. So that's exciting. Critical home repair is also becoming a very large part of what our affiliate does. People already own homes, but fixing roofs and sometimes people need ramps. So we're really doing a great job of coming in and really helping people stay safe within the home that they already own. That's really become a really big strength of our affiliate. And then I always like to mention we offer financial readiness within our affiliate called Habitat University. It's free to anybody in Oakland County, where you could go and get some financial aid, and whether it be trying to save for a home, just trying to get your credit score up. If you needed some help with that, we do have a certified HUD counselor on staff. And I do like to mention our restores that are located in Waterford and Farmington Hills. Those are really our retail outlet centers that fuel our mission on a daily basis. So we're kind of offer many things that people know us for building homes, and of course Jimmy Carter being a great ambassador over just a span of years with us. But we really are, we're really a community builder, is really what we are.
You can find more information on ways you can participate and help Habitat for Humanity of Oakland County by visiting their website at habitatoakland.org or calling them 248-338-1843, 248-338-1843, or at oakland.org. Christin, a couple more minutes before we'll need to wrap today. All of this is so great and provides so much help to people in need of some housing assistance in our local communities. But all this is not possible without help of people throughout our communities too, and those volunteers. What sort of opportunities are available?
Absolutely, Tyler. Thank you for bringing that into light. Yes, I mean, we could not do the work that we do without the corporate support through Oakland County. Anywhere from, financial institutions, individuals, foundations support us. We simply could not do this work without the help of people within Oakland County. I want to give a shout out to our core volunteers and really anyone that has come out to our build sites to come help us. We currently have about 20 or more core volunteers, men and women, retired, working, that really come out on the daily and help us lead these projects and these homes that I've been talking. And anyone can reach out to me directly. Go to the website. We are always looking for funding to really make these projects happen. With the construction gap right now, with the rising costs of that, it's become, a lot difficult for us to build homes. So we've really had to get creative about how we're going to fund these projects. The construction gap, as well as cost appraisal gap. So we always still, the goal is to make these homes affordable. So.
And there's been so many great stories from here in Oakland County on their website, habitatoakland.org, and from across the U.S. about the work Habitat for Humanity has done and the ways that it has truly helped transform people's lives in our community and beyond. Christin, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. Appreciate it.
More information, including ways that you can get involved through volunteer opportunities, donations, their restore locations, and more, can be found on habitatoakland.org or give them a call at 248-338-1843 for more information. That is going to do it for today's edition of the program. A big thank you to each of our guests for joining us today, as well as our crew at both the studios of My Michigan TV and right here at Civic Center TV. Until next time, I'm Tyler Kieft. And we'll see you very soon. Take care of each other, and we'll be back with a new episode of the Megacast tomorrow.